The existence of electrons, atoms and molecules proves that the Higgs boson did not bring into existence only a particle that has mass, but the space into which that particle can expand. So we have two entities in existence, mass and space. We know that the mass of stars and other heavenly bodies occupy different volumes to the volume of space. We now know that before the Big Bang, the big expansion, before time, there was nothing, and that the universe is expanding into nothing. We know that there is no future, and the past is created now. We know that there are particles of different size, and we know that big particles are caused by the force of their own gravity reacting to the universal gravity. We are calculating the gravitational relationships by calculations based on the orbits of planets, stars and galaxies. We are seeing these events by looking back in time. That is a dimension of expansion. However, these calculations do not fit our observations, and scientists have to imagine dark matter to explain that this theory is correct. Similar reasoning is applied to all the energy in the universe, requiring the invention of dark energy. Scientists have been trying to measure gravitational waves, but have failed to produce experiments that can be published pictorially or filmed. However, time being expansion can be demonstrated and observed all around us. We have to use binary arithmetic to explain expansion, as it's difficult to visualize time as the fourth dimension. We have to imagine the moment we call now being the skin of the expanding volume that we occupy as sentient individuals. Time is like this picture. Once it has passed, we cannot go back. We have to imagine the moment we call now being the skin of the expanding volume that we occupy as sentient individuals. Time is like this picture. Once it has passed, we cannot go back. It is a GIF picture, that is a series of frames, and I have set it to play once, so it mimics reality. The frame that you see now is now. It is expanding. The whole series shows space being created before mass at 32 foot per second, thus creating the mathematical effect of gravity. This also creates cones of events that seem to be waves and particles that seem to be in two places at once, and and seem to be spinning. The observer timeline is through the cone of events that of the image from the inside of the skin of the bubble that is expanding, changing at the rate of gravity. Consciousness in the observer absolves from sentience experiencing expansion. The awareness of self develops through survival of those that understand correctly. Human intelligence is correct reasoning in tune with the universe. We must start at the beginning. The Big Bang is still happening. Time is expansion. The universe is expanding. If we need to address an issue in real life, we have to apply the scientific method to each particular case. Time being expansion can be demonstrated and observed all around us. The following pictures can help to explain expansion, as it is difficult to visualize time being the fourth dimension. We must dispel the visualization of arrows of time and instead think of Stephen Hawking's cones of events, and that we observers are expanding from the past into now. This is space expanding, and this is mass expanding. The next picture shows the observer imagining the future. But the problem is that we cannot predict the future, as this would require all of the data from the past to be included in that calculation. This is made clear by the following pictures that show the cones of events progressing into the future from the past that is getting relatively smaller. This picture shows the duration of awareness of the observer who is expanding with the universe. The next picture is a slice of time in 1975, when I first drew my invention of the Alexander cell. Sorry. This slice of time is an old document witnessed and signed by a solicitor to establish a priority date for my patent and copyright of this idea. The next picture is a previous cone of events in which I drew the sketch of the idea. The next picture is a previous cone of events in which I hand wrote the idea. The next picture is when I created a computer spreadsheet model that made calculations used with the Alexander cell. It can be seen with by the pixelations that this was much smaller time. The next picture is looking back in time through cones of events that cannot be true to reality, that is not only three-dimensional but solid and cannot be drawn or modelled. The next picture shows the concept of elsewhere that I prefer to describe as sideways time. The sentient observer can be aware of the existence of cones of events outside of perception but not have any data relating to them. However, instruments can record and transmit this data to the observer, allowing calculations to be made about the past. This is how we use James Webb Telescope to calculate what happened since time began. Time began with an idea that caused expansion. Solid cones of events consisting of mass and space filled the time until now, and we are creating the past by our activities. The future must be nothing, or the universe could not expand. Before time must have been nothing, as time consists of cones of events. All energy comes from the Big Bang in the form of the forces that we can measure: gravity, combustion, and the strong nuclear force. At the start of the expansion, the volume of mass and space restricted expansion, and particles combined due to the available energy of compressed gravity, chemical combustion, and nuclear fusion. This resulted in the known natural elements and heavenly bodies. Expansion allows a relational movement that is change, and this is resulting in chemical reactions that allow the formation of living cells morphing into intellectual beings. This is a diagram of Gibbs free energy. This is the result of surveys that I conducted using the principles that I have developed about science. And this is a picture of the polar bay diagrams in which he expressed the energy and distribution of mass in the corrosion event. If we need to address an issue in real life, we have to apply the scientific method to each particular case. Those with bows and arrows beat those with swords. Those with guns beat those with bows and arrows. Those with planes and bombs beat those with guns. Those with guided hypersonic rockets beat those with planes. Those with nuclear bombs are suicidal. The science behind all weapons is the control of energy, and weapons enable dictators to kill and destroy from the comfort of their luxurious lives. The social structure that sustains this system is called capitalism and relies on the general belief in money. The belief in money drove millions of people to work in the projects to build the Large Hadron Collider and to launch the James Webb Telescope. So capitalism is not all bad. The government thinks they can create money out of thin air, but a scientist knows that people are money, because without the work value people, there is no way they can control energy that allows millions of people to function as a community. Investing in explosions is fruitless, but investing in understanding brings a better life for everyone. This globe is filled with events that are expanding into cones, filling the past with space and mass. In the previous now, everything is smaller as time is expansion. So there is no possibility of changing the past. A computer using binary logic, layered spreadsheet techniques is relational database, can accurately plot the exact position of any point in space without the distortion of perspective. Therefore, the computer is a valuable tool in understanding. Bitmap pictures plot every pixel in this way, and I have just plotted this picture on a spreadsheet. We are told that molecules are made up of atoms that are made up of smaller particles that are orbiting other particles, like our Earth orbits the Sun and the Moon orbits the Earth. But this has now been superseded by a paper that has been reviewed by Sabina Hossenfelder. In conclusion, we know that the universe and everything in it is expanding from a single point of origin that is now everywhere. We know that the universe includes sentient beings and their emotions that must be included in our understanding. We know that the universe itself has rules of nature that are absolute and override man-made rules. We know that corrosion, pollution and corruption are all related and can be controlled for the benefit of humanity, including the rich and the poor, no matter their religion, skin colour or belief. Real science is the way forward, and corrosion control can guide us.